All right, today we're going to be talking about our translating word problems, solving word problems, and consecutive integer word problems. So let's start with our translating. So this is like speaking another language, so you want to make sure that when you're translating, you're reading it carefully. So if you have twice, you're going 2 times something. So twice x is 2x, and it's increased by y is the same as, is equal, 18. So it's 2x increased by y equals 18. Now, when you see 7 less, that means you're taking 7 away from something. So we usually put it at the end here, but as long as it's a -7, you're good. So 7 less than the product, so product means you're multiplying, of p and q. So when you see this and you have that and right there, that's where you're going to put your symbol. So P and Q is P, Q, is 6. All right, I want you to try that one. Let's look at this next one. 1/4 of, when you see of, you're going to multiply. So it's 1/4 times the difference. So this is important because we need to put all of this because it's 1/4 of the difference of a number and 9. So we're going to put all of this in parentheses because it's 1/4 times all of that. And again, the difference goes right here where that and sign is. When we see identical to, we know it's equal. 6 times g. 6g. All right, I want you to go ahead. I want you to try to translate those. This one's a little different because it's a square of a number. So that would be like x squared. All right, and then go ahead and try that one. Okay, let's look at word problems. When we have word problems, there's some steps that you need to take. First, I like to underline or highlight any key information. I write a let statement. That's basically what does your variable represent. So here is your let statement. So let x equal. Then write an equation, solve it, and then it's very important that you always go back and reread the question. Does your answer make sense? So very important, okay? So always check to make sure you're answering the question being asked. So let's go here. Nick opens a savings account with $50. Well, that's what you start with. Each week after he deposits $15. So since it says each week, we know it's times x. And how many weeks? So this is what we're looking for. That's going to be our let statement. Will he have saved $500? So here's your equation. Now let's solve it. Draw your line down the middle. Let's start moving our numbers. That cancels out. I'm left with 15x equals 450. Now, let's divide both sides by 15. That simplifies to x. Oops. And then this equals 30. Now we said x was weeks, so your label should be 30 weeks. And does that make sense? So if he did 30 weeks plus 15, he should have gotten 500. All right, here's the next one. Alex rents a car for 1 day. The charge is $18. So just to rent, $18. Plus 12 cents per mile. Well, this is your rate right here because it's 12 cents per mile. So that's your rate. And then he wants to spend exactly $30, so it needs to be equal to 30. So now let's go ahead and get it set up. That cancels out. I'm left with 12 cents equals 12. Now divide both sides by this. That simplifies to x, and then 12 divided by 12 hundredths gives you 100. And we said we're looking for miles, so x equals miles. So this is your final answer. All right, I want you to go ahead. I want you to do all of this, so make sure you tell me what x represents. Make sure you write an equation, solve it, and if you did this correctly, you should have $5.75. All right, for number 4, you're going to do the same thing. I need to know what x represents, set up your equation, solve it, and if you did this correctly, your answer should be $125. All right, number 6, you have a table. So it's very wordy, you just got to know what it's asking for. So Ryan's starting part-time business out of his home. He plans to charge $15 per hour. So this is your rate right here. So it's 15 times x. So if you notice, I've got 15x right there. The table below shows the expected monthly business expenses. So that's how much he's spending. So if we were to add all this together, you get 600. So expenses means you're taking away $600. So now we want to write and solve an inequality to find the number of hours. So we know number of hours, that's what x is going to be. He must work in order to make a profit of at least, so that's the least amount, so you want greater than or equal to $600. All right, so go ahead, solve this. I set it up for you. You just got to solve it. All right, now let's look at this last part with consecutive word problems. So consecutive integer word problems means one number right after the other to set up a pattern. So when you're doing this, you have consecutive integers. Example would be like 1, 2, 3. So the pattern is your first number is x, your second number is x plus 1, because if you add one more, if we were to start with x to get to 3, it would have to be x plus 2 to get to 3. And then you continue the pattern depending on how many numbers you're looking for. All right, this one is consecutive even integers. So that'd be like 2, 4, 6. So if you start at 2 to get to, which would be x, to get to 4, you would have to go 2 plus 2. So the next number, so you're skip counting. And here it's x plus 4. So this would be you're adding 2 more to your original than here. So you're adding 2 each time you go. Now let's look at consecutive odd. So consecutive odd integers would be like 1, 3, 5. So your smallest number is always going to be x. And then to get to the next number, you still have to add 2. So you're still skip counting, you just have a different starting point. So if you notice, consecutive even and consecutive odd have the same pattern. So very important, because kids see odd and they want to go x plus 1, x plus 3. That's not correct. It's always going to be the same pattern because you're skip counting. You just have a different starting point. All right. So first, let's get started here. We've got 3 consecutive integers. So we're going to look at this pattern. And the sum is negative 54. So what I like to do is if I have 3 of them, I know I've got 1, 2, 3 spots. And it's consecutive. So I've got 1, 2, 3. So my first number is x. Second number, you're just going to add 1 to it. Third number, you're going to go x plus 2. So I'm adding all those together and equal to negative 54. Now that you got that, you can go ahead, combine, you'll get 3x plus 3, and now we can solve. That cancels out, so I've got 3x equals negative 57. Divide both sides by 3, and that simplifies, and it gives you x, and then this is equal to negative 19. So if you were to do this, this is x, oops. So 19 is x, so to get to 18, this would be x plus 1, and this would be x plus 2. All right, so same thing, or you could just substitute it into here if this is negative 19 plus 1, and negative 19 plus 2. All right, let's look at this next one, because this one is 4 consecutive even. So remember, with consecutive even, we're going to look at this pattern. But this one's a little different because you have to translate. So it says you want 4. So notice I've got 1, 2, 3, 4. So I did x plus 2 is your second number, X plus 4 is your third number. X plus 6 is your fourth number. So now, knowing that, we're going to go ahead and do this. So we want such that the sum of the second and fourth, well, here's your second and fourth, is 1.5 times, so we're multiplying, the sum of the first and third. All right, and it's 1.5 times all of that. So I set it up for you. I want you to go ahead and solve it. And then make sure at the end, whatever your answer is, you plug it in to figure out what your integers are. And the last one is find 3 consecutive odds. So remember, even and odds are the same pattern. So, but you can look here, it's the same pattern. You're going to list 3, so you've got 1, 2, 3, such that the sum of the first and second, well, here's your first and second, is 31 less, so you're taking 31, then 3 times the third. Well, here's the third, so you're going 3 times the third. All right, so I set it up for you. Go ahead and solve the rest. So just make sure you understand what you're looking for with consecutive integers and know the pattern. And then make sure you understand how to set up an equation and how to translate. And then always double check to make sure you're answering the question being asked.